my dad knew fish. Oh, wow, my dad knew fish. He knew at what time of year, even based on the sun and the moon. And that's biblical, Genesis chapter 1. He knew where fish, where they were going to be, about when they were going to be biting. And we would go down to this lake, we love to go crappie fishing. And he would say, they're spawning right over here. And he said, they're going to be in big clusters. You just drop them minnows down. He said, if you find them, then we just pull them in one after another. I like that kind of fishing. I don't like sitting out in a bass boat for 8 hours, throwing all day and not catching nothing. That ain't fishing for me. But if you know animals and you understand that they have a nature and they don't go against that nature, they just don't do it, then you can understand spirits, because that's what they have. They have a beast nature. The devil himself is a dragon, is a serpent. And he has a nature that he cannot overcome. And so you can predict, to a certain extent, maybe habits that these spirits have. I just noticed that if I put my face like this, the light that's shining over my head, it makes me look like Adolf Hitler. I just noticed that. I'm not Adolf Hitler. I just appear to be on camera. Anyway, but certainly once a spirit has done something, you can look at it and say, that was the spirit. They left tracks all over the place. Numbers. Locations, symbols are always going to be there. They're going to be present. We're going to go out deer hunting, and yes, we're going to try to kill a deer and eat it. We're going to go out deer hunting, and before we go out, we're going to go looking around. What are we looking for? We're looking for tracks. We're looking for scrapes and rubs. Scrapes are deer will scrape up the ground. They're looking for minerals in the dirt, and they'll lick that dirt. We're looking for rubs. This time of year, bucks in rut, and they've got a little bit of velvet left on their horns, and they get up against trees and they rub that off. And you can kind of tell if you've got a great big old buck, that rub is going to be so high up on the tree. So we can understand their nature. We can say they've been here. The deer have been here. This is an area that they are comfortable with. They are here. We're going to plant ourselves right here and hide and try to shoot them as they walk by innocently. That's what we're going to do. Let me read you about Daniel's mother and about how she died. Now, to our knowledge, she took her own life. Listen how she did it. Hi, Mike, this is amazing. You know about my mother and her demise. Well, I've had time to think about it, and it's clearly the work of the devil. Not only did she plan her own death, but because she was led by the devil and his religion, there are some very interesting facts. She moved into an apartment where we found her on May 1st, 2007. Now, I'm going to show you something. Let me pull this up here. May 1st is what's known on the Wiccan or pagan calendar as, let's see if you can see my mouse here, Imbolc. No, that's not it. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Beltane, right here. Okay, I'm making a circle here with my mouse. It's called Beltane, May 1st. That is the date that Adam Weishaupt formed the Illuminati in May 1st, 1776. This is known as a cross-quarter day. I want you to notice that May 1st, right here, is right across from Samhain, October the 31st. Okay? I want you to see that. Now, it gets more interesting than that. We found her on May 1st. She moved into this apartment on May 1st, 2007. She died on the 15th of June, 2013. That was exactly 6 years and 6 months. We found her on the 18th of July, exactly 33 days after she died. She was exactly 66 years old. The date of her death also is interesting when added together. 6 plus 1 plus 5 plus 2 plus 0 plus 1 plus 3 equals 18, which is 6 plus 6 plus 6. I told you she was laying naked on the floor. And for the life of me, I couldn't figure out why until I saw these number patterns. I kid you not. She was lying naked just like you've shown in that cartoon picture of the woman in the pentagram. Now go back to the video, The Babel Conspiracy, or the book, if you have the book. And on the in that book I showed it was in a comic book I have, a woman spread eagle with her arms out like this on top of a pentagram. Her body was making the pentagram. And what she's doing, she is awaiting the high priest to perform a ritual on her. That's all I'm going to say. He said, I am convinced this was the work of the devil. And you know what? I'm reading this and I'm just going, I agree. By the way, my entire family is under a generational curse. I'm the only one who's not, as I've been to the cross of Christ. And he writes, somebody say amen. My mother was abused over several years in her early teens by her stepfather. My older brother is the result of that abuse. Apparently, a great-great-aunt of ours decided that she was some sort of priestess or prophetess back in the late 1800s. The entire family has been under this curse since then. When I was born, I was the fourth child, and the grandmother, along with all her sisters, took me away and sold me on the black market. I found the receipt. That's what he said. That's how I ended up in North Dakota back then. To this day, not one family member who was involved in all this has ever come clean. My grandmother murdered her husband, and we also found out there were 2 more brothers from this abusive relationship. By the time my mother was 20, she had already bore 4 children. I am from her husband, not from the stepfather, but the German government had a deal back then with the American military to sell all the illegitimate children to them. And he said, now you can better understand why I value your friendship so much and the preaching from the Word of God. I am the only one saved, and to be surrounded by this daily seems sometimes a very heavy burden. I just wanted to let you know that because I find the number patterns more than interesting. It is definitely of the devil. And I'm telling you, even seemingly insignificant as far as the whole world is concerned, this man's mother taking her own life. But when he shared this with me, I'm just stunned. Devils do their work, and when they do it, you can recognize it. You can spot it. And if you'll read the Bible and understand it, you can spot it a mile away. This is why I don't dress up like a vampire on October the 31st. I used to. I don't do it no more. This is, Michelle sent, as millions of children and adults participate in the fun of Halloween on the night of October 31st, few will be aware of its ancient Celtic roots in the Samhain festival. In Celtic Ireland about 2,000 years ago, Samhain was the division of the year between the lighter half summer and the darker half winter. At Samhain, the division between this world and the other world was at its thinnest, allowing spirits to pass through it. Here, I want you to understand this. As you probably know, a lot of things in the occult are about equilibrium. The woman holding the scales is about equality or equilibrium. Think of the yin-yang symbol, equilibrium. So you have, let me go to this graphic again. All right, let me go back here. Let me change a setting here. All right. On this graphic, you'll see these, what they call high holy days in the occult. Samhain, Yule, Imbolc, Ostera, I think that's after Ashtaroth. Beltane, which is around Easter. That's where the word Easter comes from. Beltane, May 1st. Midsummer, which is June 21st. William Shakespeare wrote A Midsummer Night's Dream. That's what it was about. Lammas, which is August 1st. Mabon, which is September the 21st. Which is also the autumnal equinox. The night and day are equal, 12 hours in the day to 12 hours in the night. Samhain, which is October 31st, which is directly opposite of Beltane. and then Yule, which is not on December 25th. It is on December 21st at the winter solstice. These days are worshipped, and the belief is that the powers, the force, or whatever it is going to be strongest, or you can reach certain spirits down in Mexico. It's Dia de la Muertos. I can't even pronounce Spanish. The Day of the Dead. There you go. Day of the Dead. And down there, I mean, everything in Mexico today has skeletons all over it. That's because they believe that they can actually get in contact with their dead relatives on this day, more so than in any other time. This is necromancy. It's what it is. But that's what that whole country and that whole culture is just inundated with down there. Got to turn my heating pad back on. I wrote a while ago on the Facebook page, the devil reads my tweets. And today I ain't kidding you, my bones, I got my jacket on for a reason. My bones are killing me. My stomach is a roaring lion. And I just don't feel good. But I'm going to say what I'm going to say. Let me go back to some slides here. This is actually part of a teaching that I did. You got to see what my wife came up with. Let me go back to the beginning. This was a comic book ad that I saw way back in the 70s, The Magic Power of Witchcraft. If I could have got my hands on $1.50, I would have ordered this book. Now, in the 70s, $1 bill for a kid to come by is not easy. But if I could have got my hands on money and could have had this sent to the mail where I knew my mom wouldn't see it, I would have bought this book. I entertained the thought of buying this book, and I was going to church at the time. And it had such an attraction, such a lure to me. That's what I wanted to do. I wanted to learn witchcraft. I was sucked in by it, and part of this, at the full-page advertisement in comic books, so simple a child could use it. It's a setup, people. It is an absolute setup. But the devil is marketing not just contrary ideas about government. He is marketing his religion to these children. So my wife is at the store, Kmart, and she sees this. She take a picture of it. She said, look at what I see. It's called fortune-telling, the fortune-telling heart game. And here are these little kids. You can see these basically, these are girls' hands. This was made for girls. See the pink colors and the little hearts? Boys don't buy games like this. They don't say, Mommy, can I have that? That's going to go next to my G.I. Joe collection. They don't do that. But it's about getting girls, especially, into tarot cards, charming, necromancy, Ouija boards, and on and on and on and on. It's to hook them in so that eventually they end up, and here again, my wife, she's a watchman now. She's on the wall watching out what's going on. So by the time they get a card, they're pagan and proud. I mentioned Samhain being part of the holy or unholy days of paganism. And let me kind of explain this a little bit. On this graphic here, you have the sun as the central part.